You know how we always talk about the excitement of big life changes? Landing that new job, watching the kids head off to college, moving to a brand new city. We focus on all the good stuff, the adventure ahead. But there's this other side to it, this hidden part that we almost never talk about, a real, deep sense of loss. The thing is, even when a change is a good thing, it always means you're leaving something behind. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain on the unseen grief of change and give you a roadmap to get through it. This quote from Dr. Alan D. Wolfold, it really gets to the heart of what we're talking about. The big idea here is that trying to fight off those confusing, sometimes painful feelings that come with any big change, well, it just doesn't work. The only way to get to that new beginning is not by ignoring the loss or pretending you're totally in control. It's about surrendering. It's about letting yourself move through it, not trying to find a way around it. That's how you really process what's gone and come out stronger on the other side.
So, here's a look at the journey we're about to take. First up, we're going to totally redefine what grief even means. Then, we'll dive into what happens emotionally when your whole world shifts. We'll spend a little time in that weird, confusing middle phase, what we're calling the in-between. After that, it's all about action. We'll open up a resilience toolkit with real strategies, and then we'll look at a framework to help you handle future changes. And finally, we'll talk about how to really, truly embrace that new beginning that's out there waiting for you.
All right, let's jump right in with the big foundational idea. Why even changes we want, the good stuff, can still hurt. It's a paradox, right? But it's something we all feel.
Okay, I think this slide is so important because it just blows up our whole idea of what grief is. We usually say that word for when someone passes away, but really, grief is your body and your mind's natural response to any major loss. It's the echo of an ending. So losing a job, that's a loss. Your kid moving out, that's a loss. Heck, even getting a promotion can mean losing the friends you had on your old team. Just admitting that, just acknowledging it, is a huge first step.
And this list just shows how normal these experiences are. I mean, think about it. Losing a job is so much more than losing a paycheck, right? It's your identity, it's your daily routine, your work friends, or empty nest. That can feel like your main purpose in life just walked out the door. And even something amazing like becoming a parent means losing your old life. Goodbye sleep, goodbye spontaneity. Every single one of these, good or bad, involves letting go of a piece of your world. And here is the kicker. Why do we feel so alone when this happens? It's because everyone, society, frames these things as totally normal, healthy parts of life. Your friends mean well when they say, "Oh, but this is so exciting," or "That's just life." And yeah, they're right, but that can also make you feel like your sadness isn't valid, and that just makes the grief feel even more confusing and isolating. So let's build on that. Let's look a little closer at the real emotional toll these big shifts take, because you'd be surprised how much they have in common. This is such a great comparison. Look at this. On one side, you have job loss. You lose your professional identity, your routine, your work buddies. On the other side, empty nest. You lose your primary role as a parent, your routine, and you might feel like your most important job is done. But notice the common threads here. In both cases, you lose your structure. And in both, you're left questioning your very identity. Who am I if I'm not a manager? Who am I now that the kids don't need me every day? It just goes to show the source of the change might be different, but that feeling of being unmoored is pretty universal. And then there are the transitions that show up like a storm you never saw coming. A new health diagnosis isn't just a change, it's a crisis. It brings this immediate permanent loss of the healthy body you used to have, the way you used to move through the world without thinking about it. And with that comes this intense fear of the future, anxiety, and just this deep, ongoing grief for the life you had just yesterday. So the ending has happened. You've lost something. But the new beginning, well, it's nowhere in sight yet. This puts you in this really uncomfortable, really critical place, the neutral zone. This little model here is so incredibly helpful. Think of any big transition as having these three parts. First, there's the ending, where you have to say goodbye to what was. Then you enter the neutral zone. This is that in-between space. It's totally disorienting because the old way is gone, but the new way hasn't shown up yet. It's confusing, it's frustrating, but it can also be where new ideas start to form. And it's only after you get through that zone that you can land in the new beginning, where you finally start to feel grounded and connected again. So how do you know if you're kind of stuck in that neutral zone? Well, here's some big clues. Ambivalence. Feeling really excited for the new city, but also incredibly sad to leave your friends. Disappointment. That feeling of, wow, this is so much harder than I thought it would be. And then there's disorientation and worthlessness, just feeling totally adrift, without a map. Seeing these not as failures, but just as signs of grief you haven't worked through yet, that's a game changer.
Okay, knowing what's happening is one thing, but what can you actually do? This is where we get super practical. Welcome to your Resilience Toolkit. Let's start with what's going on inside your own head. First, and this is the most important one, you have to acknowledge the loss, say it out loud, write it down. A journal is an amazing tool for getting all those swirling thoughts out. Next, please be kind to yourself, practice self-compassion. You have to talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend going through the same thing. Then you can start to challenge the negative self-talk. When your brain says, I'm a failure, you push back with facts. No, the company downsized. It wasn't about my performance. This whole process, accepting, reframing, looking for lessons, that's what helps you move forward.
Grief loves to make you feel isolated, which is why connection is basically the ultimate antidote. Your first instinct might be to pull away, but this is exactly when you need to reach out. The key is to find a good listener, not someone who's going to try to fix it, but someone who will just sit with you and hear you. And then start building new networks. Join a club, a support group, anything with people who get it. And be honest with your family. Tell them what you actually need. Hey, I don't need advice right now, I just need a hug. It can make all the difference.
When your entire world feels chaotic, structure becomes your best friend. Seriously, keeping a simple daily routine gives your brain an anchor. And please, don't forget the basics. Moving your body, even just for a walk, is a huge mood booster. Eating decent food, getting enough sleep, these aren't luxuries. They are the absolute foundation for emotional resilience. And finally, you have to intentionally make time for joy. Find ways to laugh. It's not a distraction from the hard stuff. It's a vital part of healing. So we have our toolkit for coping right now. But what about the next change? And the one after that? Let's get strategic. This next part is a powerful framework for doing just that.
This is the big question, isn't it? Because change is gonna happen. That's the one thing we can count on. The real difference is whether it happens to you, making you feel like a victim, or whether you decide to become the pilot, actively navigating your way through it. The next slide gives us the map.
This is called Schlossberg's 4 S's, and it's a brilliantly simple checklist. First, you look at the situation. What's actually changing here? Was it my choice? Next, you look at yourself. What am I good at? How have I gotten through tough stuff before? Then you assess your support. Who's in my corner? Who can I count on? And where can I find new people? And finally, you build your strategies. What is the very first smallest step I can take? How can I manage my stress? See? Walking through these 4 things takes this huge, scary change and breaks it down into questions you can actually answer and steps you can actually take.
Okay, we've defined the grief, we've walked through that weird neutral zone, and we've built our toolkit. So let's talk about what it actually feels like to land in that new beginning.
This right here is maybe the most important and freeing idea of all. We have this weird belief that we have to be completely over something before we're allowed to feel happy again. But that's just not how humans work. You can be grieving your old life while also being genuinely excited about the future. You can miss your kids like crazy, but also love your newfound freedom. Giving yourself permission to feel both at the same time is everything. It's not either or, it's both and.
And this is our final, really empowering takeaway. Resilience isn't some magic trait you were either born with or you weren't. It's a muscle. And every single time you go through a transition using these tools, acknowledging the loss, reaching out for support, taking care of yourself, you're doing a rep. You're building that muscle. Every tough change becomes a training session that makes you stronger for the next one. It's hard work, for sure, but that's how you build strength.
So as we wrap up, I just want to leave you with this question to think about. Acknowledging the ending hurts, and navigating the in-between is messy, but on the other side of every single ending is a new beginning. So the only real question is, what's yours going to look like?